Hi everybody, Andrew Cuneo here. Today I'm going to play some Historic. This is a deck I've worked on in the distant past. It's a mono-green ramp deck. There are some new cards I wanted to try out to see if they've improved anything about the deck. In the past it was pretty good. It wasn't quite tier 1, but it was definitely competitive. So the main impetus of this deck is this alchemy card, Settle the Wilds, that is a ramp spell that also gives you a payoff. You seek for a permanent equal to the number of lands you control. So the key to building around this card, I think, is to have high impact things at 4, 5, 6, 7, even 8 mana that you're going to be getting when you cast it. And because it's seek rather than, search your deck, you kind of want to know what you're going to get when you play it, has been my experience with this card. So at 4 mana, I think the best thing in Historic is just Esika's Chariot. This is the unnerfed form of Esika's Chariot, or the as-printed form of it. 5 mana, this is the main one for this deck, is just Nissa, who shakes the world. If you remember this card from Standard, it's incredibly good if it sits in play. A lot of decks in Historic are not really well suited to getting it off the board. The only real danger with this card in Historic is your opponent might do something that, kills you before you can get your Nissa before the Nissa has enough time to impact the game. But it is extremely powerful if it sits in play. Also, this deck has enough cheap ramp that you can play this on turn 3 pretty frequently. 2 Vorinclexes. This one might seem a little bit odd, but it's incredibly good with Nissa, who shakes the world. It also shuts down some stuff that opposing decks are doing, whether they're playing with Fable of the Mirror Breaker. It stops the Fable from progressing if it's sitting in play. If they're playing with Planeswalkers of their own, which is more common in Historic than it is in Standard if you're coming from Standard. 7 mana, we've got a new card I'm trying, Nissa Ascended Animist. So this is, I think the -7, just, you get an overrun effect, is reasonably powerful. This deck is mostly forests for its lands, so you're going to get, probably at a minimum +3/+3, and you could easily be getting a lot more than that. In the past, I've played Titan of Industry, which I do still have one of those in my sideboard. For matchups where you want a little bit more defense out of this card, or you just want another way to kill artifacts or enchantments. But I think this is this is going to be a big threat whenever you're able to cast it. Also, the fact that it's got this Phyrexian ability where you can cast it for less than 7 mana is certainly going to come up at times. And also, if you're just playing against somebody who isn't doing something that's going to kill you really quick, if this is just sitting in play, it's generating a giant creature every turn, which is pretty nice. At 8 mana, I've got Cityscape Leveler now. In the past, I had played Ugin, which I don't have any Ugins in my 75 right now. That might be a mistake. This card is nice because it's a little bit better than Ugin against counters, because you're still going to get the trigger. It's a lot better than Ugin against discard, because you can unearth it, obviously, and get a one-shot use out of it. Both of those things are great. Ugin is probably better if you're playing against like an Auras deck, something like that, but I think that's not really that popular of a deck anymore in Historic, so I'm going to try Cityscape Leveler. Also, it's not a super new card, but it's a card that wasn't available the last time I really tried this deck. In terms of ramp, we've got Settle the Wilds, like I talked about. We've got Into the North, which this is a card it's a reprint from like a really old Magic set that is only legal in Historic. The nice thing about this card is you can get any snowland, so snow-covered forests, but also Faceless Haven. Faceless Haven's the only snowland that is legal, that's on Arena, that isn't just, snow-covered forest, or there's also comes into play tapped snow dual lands. So Faceless Haven is, the thing you're going to get unless you need more green mana. For Mind Stones, this is another Historic-only card that is a good ramp card. One card I'm not playing with is Explorer, and that's because I don't actually have that many actual lands in my deck. I mean, I've got 25, but Explorer, you really want to actually be playing with more than 25 lands. This deck has a tremendous amount of mana in it because it's got 4 Mind Stones, 4 Into the North, 4 Settle the Wilds, on top of 25 lands, and 8 mana elves. But remember, the 4 Settle the Wilds are going to come with a good spell to cast. The Into the Norths, you can go and get Faceless Haven, so you're getting a creature land. And the Mind Stones, you can just sack them to draw another card. So you're not really going to flood out all that often. Also, there's a card that, this is from Shadows over Innistrad. It was on Arena before that because it was in maybe an anthology. I don't know. So this card isn't exactly new, but this is another thing that if this is in play, it's pretty hard to flood out because you're going to be drawing so many cards. So that's the main deck. In the sideboard, I've got Arasta of the Endless Web as a way to swap in a different 4-mana card for Esika's Chariot. This is primarily if I want additional blocking. This is mostly going to be like against a blue-red Arclight Phoenix deck. They're going to have somewhat of a hard time getting this off the board, and if it sits in play, it's going to make so many spiders, it's going to be almost impossible for them to win. One Ulamog, this is for slower matchups where I want to have a 10-mana card to be able to seek off of Settle the Wilds, and most decks are not at all set up to handle this. At least you're going to mostly board this in against like black mid-range decks, maybe against a blue-white control deck. The blue-white control deck can at least get it off the board, but you do get to exile 2 of the permanents, so that's nice. Titan of Industry, like I said, is in case you want to swap that with Nissa. Some Manglehorns. This is, I think, the best of the 3-mana blow up an artifact or enchantment cards. This one, you obviously can't hit enchantments with it, but making people's artifacts come into play tapped is pretty punishing if you're playing against one of those like Esper Sentinel decks. It's going to make it very hard for them to block. Also, if you're playing against a Greasefang deck, it means that the vehicle that they're bringing back with Greasefang is going to enter the battlefield tapped, so it's going to be substantially less useful for them to Greasefang it back into play. 3 Run Afouls. This is like if you play against a white-blue Spirits deck. Also, if you play against an Arclight Phoenix deck, it can be good. You maybe don't really need 3 copies of this. It is just a very good sideboard card when it lines up well in the format. I'm not so sure how popular the decks it's good against are going to be in Historic, but we'll see. 1 Ratchet Bomb. This is really just exclusively for Indomitable Creativity decks. You don't really want to board this in for people who are playing permanents that cost more than 1 mana. Even like 1-drops, I wouldn't be looking to blow up with this probably. Mostly just for matchups where blowing up 0 mana permanents is good. You're going to want that there. Back to Nature, destroy all enchantments, kind of self-explanatory. I don't know that you really need this for any matchup, but if you play against auras or like more of a white-green enchantments like Solemnity combo deck, this card's obviously going to be incredibly good. It is just a really good card that I don't know that it really has a place, but it is a very strong sideboard card if you get the right matchups for it. Grafdigger's Cage and some Relic of Progenitus. This is, just general graveyard hate. Certainly Grafdigger's Cage is good against Phoenix decks, but also, I could play against like a Spawning Pod deck. This is just a generally good sideboard card. I don't know that Historic has a super well-defined metagame outside of just like the Crucius mid-range decks right now. So I've got a bunch of just generally powerful sideboard cards in my sideboard right now. So we're going to see how it goes. Let's jump into some of the games. On the draw, no ramp. I think this is a mulligan. Okay. This is certainly better. I think I'm going to bottom the 7-mana Nissa. This is still not a particularly good hand. You really want to have a turn 1 Llanowar Elf. Especially on the draw. I'm not going to mull the 5, but this is not that strong of a hand. What land is this? It's an overgrown farmland. I think in Historic there's enough good green-white dual lands available. You probably shouldn't be playing this card. Oh, so this is going to be the enchantment deck that I said is not very popular, but I hope I get to back to nature them. So next turn, I think I'm going to want to settle. Oh, Boseiju, that's a nice one. Get a 4-mana card, because I already have a Nissa. And then Vorinclex is bad to have in play against. Is it Solemnity or I think it's 9 lives? Not that I don't want Vorinclex in play against. Vorinclex does cause me to kill them really quickly. Maybe Esika's Chariot is better. Oh, I can just get the Nissa this turn. Is that better than playing the Chariot and getting the Nissa next turn? So next turn, if I don't draw a land, I'm going to have access to 8, 9, 11, 13 mana. But I don't really want to have to tap too many of my creatures. I think I'm just going to play the Chariot. Because I have to play the Nissa for 7 mana if I want to do the overrun right away. I'd like to kill them next turn if I can. I think if I draw a forest, I'm going to kill them pretty easily. I think if I don't draw a forest, it might be a little bit trickier and I'm going to have to do some math. Oh no, I'm being ossified. Can they get my land? If they can get my land, that's kind of annoying. They can get my Planeswalker. That's really annoying. I didn't enjoy that at all. I think I want to trade my forest for their 2 tokens. Or actually, I wouldn't even kill both of them, right? Because this is... Oh, no, I would kill both of them, but I don't think it's worth it. I can Esika's Chariot clues as the game progresses if I deem that to be necessary. I don't think that is going to be what happens in this game, though. That ossification was rude. I wonder what they're going to go get now. Might be 9 lives. I can also minus to just blow stuff up. Sithis, the Harvest Hand. I don't think that's going to save them. I mean, maybe if they go crazy with it, it's going to save them. Probably not enough. Whoa. They're going on offense. Okay. I think they were going to die anyway. Maybe they have a spell that's going to do something. So I've got 6 forests, 4 creatures, so I'm adding 24 power. Plus I started with 9, so I have 33 power. They have 10 toughness and 14 life, so not close. If they had had 10 toughness and 22 life, or no, not, if they had had 18 toughness and 14 life, I think they would have still died. Obviously, Ulamog's pretty good against a deck that's slow. Back to Nature's ridiculous. I don't think I want 2 Vorinclexes. Ratchet Bomb is a little bit interesting. They're making all those tokens. I think I'm not going to board it in, but it wouldn't be insane. Do I want Titan of Industry as well? Maybe I just want a Voracious Hydra. These are kind of just like catch-all. Good against, you know, they're good some of the time. I'll have one of them in my deck. If I kill this early Sithis or Sanctum Weaver, it'll be worth it for sure. Do I want this other Cityscape Leveler? I would definitely want Ugin in this matchup. Like, as many Ugins as I could have. But I think Cityscape Leveler is a good deal weaker. Who's excited about the potential of having Vorinclex and Ratchet Bomb in play at the same time? That seems like it could easily not work out well. This one of Karn's Bastion is kind of in my deck just as a fun of. You can afford to play the colorless land. The only thing it really, well, it hurts you a little bit with your Nissa. Like, it's actually going to hurt me here probably. To have fewer snow-covered forests, although sometimes it's really good with Nissa. And then it hurts with the other Nissa as well. So we've got a pretty strong draw here. It's definitely not a great Esika's Chariot matchup. But I think Esika's Chariot's better than Atraxa. I could have maybe taken one of my Esika's Chariots out of my deck for a more useful card. Hopefully this does not get ossified. I guess if they want to ossify it, though, they can do it 100% because of the Sterling Grove. Come on, back to nature. I'm trying to draw back to nature. Off the top. 1 back to nature, please. I used to love playing Enchantress decks so much. Maybe I should try to make one. Don't think it would be like this person's, though. I don't know if there's enough kind of combo-y enchantments for my tastes. Holy cow, Conclave Tribunal? That's how you're going to do me? Alright.
I can help you no longer.
I need that back to nature pretty quick. So I'm going to play Tireless Tracker and then play a land and draw a card right away in case I draw Llanowar Elves. So if I have a Llanowar Elves in play, I think I can cast 8 drops. Not 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I'd be able to cast a Cityscape Leveler. My card, if the ordering of my cards is Llanowar Elves, Cityscape Leveler, it's worth doing this right now. And there's really no, they're not going to have like discard in their hand or something in their deck, so there's no harm in putting the card in my hand right away. As it turns out, I didn't draw the Llanowar Elves, so it was all a waste. Am I dead this turn to Destiny Spinner? Probably not. They did tutor for it, though, so they've got some kind of plan with it. The Gauntlets of Light. Oh, is this a combo? I don't know what this does. Oh, it's like an infinite mana combo. That's cool. Oh, they are going to combo kill me, right? Because they can animate all of their lands now. And they can... Oh, they can't make them infinite size, though. They can just activate this over and over, but it doesn't change the size of what they get. Although they can probably put... Assuming they have some enchantments, they can put, you know, their whole deck into play, probably. As long as they don't run out of enchantments. That's cool. I haven't seen somebody do this before. I guess it's not new. It's new to me. I'll let them play an enchantment or two, and then I'll concede. Hollowed Haunting. Because even if they don't kill me this turn, I'm always live to draw Back to Nature. My 1 in 48 shot. Maybe they'll run out of mana. Does this step for any color? Any one color. Yeah. They have enough to just kill me now. Come on, Back to Nature. I don't think they're going to see this one coming. Come on, fart. If I draw a land off the top, I can go into the North Mindstone, but sadly I did not. Needed one more land to make this a really explosive hand. I think I'm still in great shape just because I drew Back to Nature. I think that's going to be quite hard for them to beat. But my hand is clunky enough that maybe they can draw enough cards that they can just fight through it. They're still only on one card to turn off of enchantments. They need a second Enchantress to really start going nuts. Kill both of these, and then I don't know if I'm going to be able to play Ulamog next turn. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh yeah, I can easily play Ulamog. They didn't enjoy the Back to Nature. Wow. Not my most explosive hand, but I am on the play. Against the Gigantha deck, it's been a while since I played against Cat Oven, at least in Historic. probably not that. I think that the cat is nerfed in Historic, so people don't play it. That sounds true to me. Oh, it's one of those. Niv-Mizzet decks. Is there some way I can use Boseiju to do anything? Probably not. Like if I Boseiju this, they still just go and get another one. Wait, I can't, you can't. Oh no, you can Boseiju non-basic lands. I think we're probably just going to play a giant Voracious Hydra this turn. Or do I want to into the wilds, into the north again? I think it's running into the north again. Because now I should be able to Cityscape level them next turn. This can't destroy lands. Can destroy territorial Kavus, though. Man. It's a lot of Into the North's exiled already. It's rough out here. Probably just have access to Dovin's Veto. Bang. Man down. Ooh. Boseiju, we have a target. And I'm saving mana to Boseiju the Leyline Binding. They're really iterating. I wonder if they have the other iteration, the Perilous iteration, I think is the green-red one. Maybe it has a slightly different name. Do I think they have another Leyline Binding? Let's find out. Got them down to 12. But the fact that they got this untapped means they're probably going to spend their mana on something, so I'm probably not going to get to it. Deal much damage to them. Be my guess. Yeah. Can only do it for 5, is that right? I'm just doing this manually. Right. Can do it for 5. Sure, at least one of my creatures is not making it through this, but maybe I'll get to do a little bit of damage. Reality, it's been fragmented. It was kind of brutal. They probably have Lightning Helix in their deck, so Faceless Haven, I would guess, is not that likely to be able to connect. Oh, I didn't enjoy that. I didn't enjoy it one bit. Let's test this theory that they have a lightning helix. I was correct. I could have proliferated there to do an extra point, but I think it's better to just spend my mana on the Tireless Tracker. Probably they're going to be able to kill it, but we're basically in the force them to kill everything kind of stage of the game. Oh. They have another Kolaghan's Command. Could go for a Nissa off the top. That would be nice. One Nissa for me, please. Actually, it'll probably be Dovin's Vetoed if I draw a Nissa. Vorinclex, they might not have a Vanishing Verse or a Leyline Binding. There's the Dovin's Veto. I knew about that basically because of how they played their lands earlier on in the game. And also just because it's a pretty likely card to be in a deck like that. I might be in okay shape if they don't find a Niv Mizzet soon. I'm sure they have 4 of them in their deck though, and they've seen a pretty big chunk of cards to not have drawn one yet. These Leyline Bindings were brutal. One good news is that if I draw a Settle the Wilds, it does give me my 7 mana Nissa. That's pretty nice. That's not good for me. Oh, this I was like, why is this in their deck? It's the card they got off Bind to Secrecy. I think I want Ulamog in my deck for this. Let's try... I think I also want this Titan of Industry. Let's try these Atraxes. Maybe I just don't want Voracious Hydra at all. And I'll have another one of these. Oh, whoa, I have a 61 card deck. That was unintentional. Good news is this is pretty likely to live against the deck that has so many tapped lands. Bad news is it's not even really that good for me if it lives. I guess it's worse for me if it dies, though. So. If I draw a land next turn, the Tireless Tracker will be nice. If I don't draw a land, I'll be sad. I guess I'm still playing Tireless Tracker. This is really awkward. Just praying for a land. Praying for them not to have Deafening Clarion. I like that their hand is just so good they don't even do the looting. They're just like, standing pat, not gonna loot. That's not a land. That probably means I'm dead. Alright, here's the plan. I'm gonna play this Llanowar Elves, and then I'm just gonna close my eyes, and they're gonna untap, and they're not gonna have Deafening Clarion. Let me know when I can open my eyes. You didn't let me know. I think I need to double block. Sadly. It seems guaranteed not to work, but I don't think I can win by going to 5. I'm leaving these 2 territorial Kabus in play. Certainly it's not going to work. But maybe I've set it up so now this thing will work. Probably not, though. Oh, it did work. Okay. That's not what I needed. They have to have Niv-Mizzet in their deck, right? You wouldn't build your deck like this without Niv-Mizzet. You just don't seem to ever have it. Got them down to 14. This is maybe a Deafening Clarion, or they're just trying to loot into an instant speed removal spell. If I don't block with Vorinclex and I go to 5, I don't know that that actually helps me. Like, the point in not blocking with Vorinclex is to play around a Deafening Clarion. They could have just Kolaghan's Command, I guess. Should also be pretty good for them. That's a Deafening Clarion. Yeah. Oh, they're going to Territorial Kavu my Cityscape Leveler. That's kind of annoying. Don't think I'm getting out of this one. It might have been better to chump with the Chariot there. I don't think it's possible for me to win either way. Certainly not now. Ooh, Crucius is a nice addition to this deck. I already have the Nissa, so I'm going to settle into Esika's Chariot, play Nissa against Goblins. This is another matchup where Ugin is probably better than Cityscape Leveler. From playing this, I'm getting the impression that I think Ugin is probably a better inclusion than Cityscape Leveler. This is also a matchup where Grafdigger's Cage is pretty important, probably. This thing doesn't give haste, does it? No. Ow. I'm gonna call rude on that one. I think I'm still in okay shape. As long as they don't kill me with Muxus next turn. They're trying to kill me with Muxus. There aren't that many goblins in play, at least to start. This isn't enough unless they chain into some more stuff. Additional Muxus is not ideal. That probably kills me. Maybe not. This has been defeated.
Fight on without me.
I don't need 7 mana to get to ultimate this because the Vorinclex is going to make it come into play with double the counters. The backup Kranko is... That's not good for me. I gotta be dead now, right? So I went Cage. Tireless Tracker's mighty slow for this matchup. Want any of this other stuff? I don't think so. I wish you were a Nugan. This is a strong draw. Turn 3 Nissa on the play. I'd be surprised if their deck can beat this. I guess sometimes the Muxus decks are capable of killing you on turn 3 or turn 4 with like super fast Muxuses. But their deck looks like it's a little bit more value oriented than... Question is, do I want to play Into the North this turn or just leave a blocker? If they have a Lord, the +1/+1 haste Lord, and Nissa would die, so I think I want to just hang back. I'm going to have access to a ton of mana, assuming I get to untap with the Nissa. If they have a Muxus next turn, they actually can probably beat my hand, because I'm going to give them another turn. I'd probably need to be a pretty lucky Muxus. This thing where they keep munitions experting my lands, I'm not enjoying it. In case people were wondering. Oh, that's a big draw. Let's do this a little bit more reasonably. So I think I want you, this, this,
The land shall conquer you.
this. Can you munitions experts planeswalkers? You can. So they could just kill my Nissa right now. That would make me sad. They're trying to make me sad. That's what they should do. Kranko's a little scary. It's not a hasty Kranko at least, though.
Be wary of the ground you walk on.
So I do have access to the Bastion to proliferate here, which means I could deal more damage, potentially. Let's see what I'm going to trying to. I think I'll just play one of the Mind Stones. Use some blockers back. Crack a Mind Stone at the end of their turn. Ooh, that's kind of annoying. Now a Hasty Krenko is pretty scary. I need... If I find my 7 mana Nissa, I'll obviously kill them. Sometimes you need to manage how many lands you have in play with the stack. To make sure that your Settle the Wilds is able to get what you want it to get. It's just another Nissa. More clues for me, that's what I say. More clues. This isn't lethal because of the Sling Lang Lieutenant. They're able to gain substantial amounts of life. So they're going to be going up to 12. And I would deal 11, or I'd proliferate. I'm not even going to proliferate then. I'm just going to save mana to crack clues, leave blockers untapped. Their board position had become untenable. I'm gonna leave these trackers in my deck. Even they weren't particularly good that last game. I think they're not good at all in this matchup. I just don't have anything else I really want. This hand gets pretty good if I draw a forest in my first 2 draw steps. I guess I'd still need 1 more land for it to be a turn 3 Nissa hand, but we can always hope. It's a lot of wily goblins. Please don't kill me. That doesn't kill me. They do have the ability to sack their goblins for drains, right? That's how this card works. I might kill them now. Is there any world where I'm supposed to play the Vorinclex first? Seems improbable. It's also only +3/+3.
Behold nature's true power.
Is this enough? I needed more of my lands to be forests, right? Because this is only 14 damage. So I need a different plan. Should have played the Vorinclex. I missed out on some counters because I didn't play the Vorinclex first. I didn't realize that so few of my lands were forests. Oh, if I had had the Vorinclex out first, I could have potentially had the Nissa be able to ultimate. You're not a forest. Try to survive another turn. What's this thing do? I kind of feel like I must have screwed something up this game. Oh, what I screwed up was I needed to play the Vorinclex first last turn, so this would have been so I could have -8'd this turn, and I could have gone -8 and then, well, I could have played the Nissa first and then -8'd this, and then the -7 would have done it like a massive amount of damage. Yeah, now I think I'm without hope.
The land fights for us.
Yeah, I blew this game. I blew it. Maybe they'll just play Land Muxus and it'll brick. I think if they play the Sling Gang Commander... and start sacking goblins and triggering Prashalic Mons, I'm gonna be doomed for sure. Even this, like the Muxus is gonna ping the Mystic. Alright, I'm dead. Let's go, opponent. I'm ready. I'm ready for you. This is probably not another Goblin deck. This is probably just a burn deck. It's looking more and more like a burn deck the more we play. Let's get some blockers. You're not the land I was hoping for. Oh, a backup Chariot. It's always nice to have a backup. Guess it's worth just going to 10. Saving token. I'm going to cast Vorinclex post-combat. Then... I know I said it last time, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to kill them next turn if I manage to untap with Vorinclex and Nissa. I don't think I'll be able to find a way to blow it. Oh. I didn't anticipate that happening. Okay. So just super aggro. Do I have any sideboard cards for this? I guess this thing gains life. Probably don't need Cityscape Leveler. These Hydras are not the best. Maybe instead of the Hydras, I'll just have Arastas. We'll have a lot of 4-drops, but they're all annoying 4-drops for the opponent. Maybe I don't want this Nissa, just because it'll prevent me from getting Titan of Industry in case I want to gain 5 life. Leave one of these Hydras in my deck. his hand good enough on the draw? Esika's Chariot's one of my better cards, but turn 4 is too slow for it. It's only one of my better cards when I'm ramping into it. I know I kept 2 Esika's Chariots, but I'd rather have a second one in case the first one dies rather than just having an expensive Vorinclex. I think they're off to a slower start this game. On untapped land. Is that even better than playing the Bone Crusher Giant? What did they steal? They stole the land I wanted. Opponent's a thief. I don't. You may or may not have thought about whether I should have played Into the North the turn before or the Mind Stone. I played the Into the North just because the Mind Stone doesn't have effective summoning sickness because it doesn't come into play tap, so it worked out better for me there. It did make it slightly less likely I was going to draw a land, but it made it so that if I drew a Mind Stone or another Into the North, it was going to work out better for me. I think I'll just go with the Chariot to start. They have a Braid in their deck. They might blow up my Chariot, which I would have to say would be quite rude were they to do it. I think it's kind of annoying. See if they had a plan or this was just a bold attack. I kept a second Chariot so I'd feel comfortable making blocks like that. Okay, that's fine. Take a point. Suffer. They're empty-handed now, so I can be very confident that my Nissa is not going to die to some sort of crazy haste shenanigans or burn. Arasta's a little bit awkward given that they have Rampaging Ferocidon in play. Like, I think that the life loss is going to be completely manageable, but I don't know that I want to put this Arasta in play. I don't know. I'm gonna live a little. I'll play the Arasta. I didn't enter this to not play the Arasta. Let's start with Chariot. I think I have to play one of these before I attack. Got some trading going on. Manamorphose isn't legal in the format. Otherwise, I could hit 4 Manamorphoses in a row and deal 4 damage to me. If they had drawn Manamorphose, 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 Grape Shot, I would have died. Can they have Embercleave? Is that what this is? I didn't do any math. I kind of think this is going to work out fine for me, though. Alright. Well, that was kind of fun. Hope you enjoyed it. I do think that's a fun deck. It's probably not like the kind of deck that if you really, really want to maximize your win rate, you should be playing. But it is fun if you like playing ramp decks. The one thing I would say is, based on my experience with those matches, I think you want... I think Ugin is probably better than Cityscape Leveler. Maybe you want to play a mix. Maybe you could trim, you know, like the third Run Afoul in the sideboard at minimum for an Ugin, just to have the option of boarding it in. It'd be nice if this deck had access to, you know, some sort of actual cheap creature removal. You could maybe play a second color and it wouldn't be that annoying. It might mess with the Nissa some. It would certainly mess with the Faceless Havens. Because, you know, the dual lands you're going to be playing are not going to be able to animate the Faceless Haven unless you play the comes into play tapped snow lands, which I really would advise not doing. So I think this shell you probably want to play just straight green. Also, you want to have lots of forests in your deck with this Nissa as well. So I think it's a little bit hard to add a splash color to this deck. Maybe you could do it if you wanted to splash white. You could play Avacyn's Pilgrim over Llanowar Elves. That would probably be completely fine. And you could play Temple Gardens. And like one of the comes into play tapped white-green snowlands. You would certainly cut Karn's Bastion at that point. You could maybe cut Castle Garenbrig. I wanted to try Cityscape Leveler because I thought it might be better with it. Like, Ugin does not get helped by Castle Garenbrig, but Cityscape Leveler does. I don't know, Cityscape Leveler just seemed like it was kind of weaker in some of the matchups, though. Anyway, that's the deck. There's certainly some things to think about. Historic's got a gigantic card pool, so trying to brew up a deck that's a little bit off the beaten path, there's always going to be tons of stuff to try. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please sub to the channel. And leave a comment if you got suggestions. I'd be happy to hear them. Till next time,